Good morning to our viewers in Asia and hello to others watching from around the world. Welcome to ARIRANG News Break. We begin with President Park Geun-hye's ongoing trip to East Africa. During Korea-Kenya summit talks, President Park has pledged to support Kenya's economic growth in various areas that include high-tech ICT sector. North Korea's continued provocative acts were also on the table, to which the Kenyan leader vowed to carry out necessary measures to fully implement UN resolutions on the regime. Song Ji-sun for us from Nairobi.
Economic cooperation was the focus of summit talks in Kenya, the third and last stop of President Park's trip through East Africa. Seoul and Nairobi sealed dozens of deals, ranging from industrial complex construction to introducing Seoul's Tech Institute model. Energy is a key word in terms of Kenya's future growth, as it only produces 20% of its electricity demand. But it's vying to increase it to 100% over the next 15 years, in line with its Vision 2030 to emerge as a new industrial nation. Seoul will seek to participate in Kenya's geothermal and nuclear power plant projects, as well as build a block of Kenya's new industrial complex, paving the way to export products there tax-free to the U.S. via East African free trade deals.
When the industrial complex is completed, it will serve as a gateway for our companies, especially small and mid-sized businesses, to enter the markets of Africa, the Americas, and Europe.
Korea also plans to share its knowledge in the e-government, ICT, and health sectors, while also helping to build an institute for science and technology in Kenya, modeled after KAIST, enabling Nairobi to foster high-tech for growth. Through summit talks, Seoul appealed that Korea is the optimal partner for realizing Kenya's vision for growth and sets the framework for greater economic ties with the biggest economy in the East Africa region. On the security front, the Kenyan president strongly condemned North Korea for its series of nuclear and missile tests and pledged to carry out all necessary measures to fully implement the latest UN sanctions. Urging Pyongyang to refrain from further provocations, the Kenyan leader vowed full support for President Park's efforts to denuclearize North Korea. Song Ji-sun, ARIRANG News, Nairobi.
And speaking of North Korea provocations, the United States has denounced Pyongyang for its attempted ballistic missile launch on Tuesday and urged the regime to refrain from actions that stoke tension in Northeast Asia. Park Jong-hong reports.
Responding to North Korea's failed launch of a medium-range Musudan missile, the White House issued words of condemnation. The White House spokesman said the U.S. and the rest of the world are calling on Pyongyang to refrain from provocations that stir tension in the region.
The United States strongly condemns North Korea's missile test in violation of United Nations Security Council resolutions, which explicitly prohibit North Korea's use of ballistic missile technology.
The spokesman added that North Korea should take concrete steps to fulfill its international obligation to denuclearize. His message was echoed by the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for East Asian and Pacific Affairs. Daniel Russell said the primary objective is to have North Korea agree on denuclearization, and in particular, this outcome does not translate into a, quote, unconditional surrender. Russell said annual strategic talks with China next week will be used to ensure Beijing's cooperation in pressuring North Korea to agree to negotiate an end to its nuclear program. As for the unexpected visit by North Korea's Workers' Party Vice Chairman Lee Soo-yong to China, the State Department declined to comment when asked about the effects of the visit on the political situation on the Korean peninsula. Park Jong-hong, ARIRANG News.
While the world is once again condemning North Korea's launch attempt of a mid-range missile, the Hermit Kingdom is showing possible signs of reprocessing spent nuclear fuel to make plutonium nuclear bombs. Citing satellite images taken in late May, U.S.-based North Korea monitoring website 38 North says there were container tanks in front of the country's main reprocessing plant in Yongbyon, and smoke coming out of a coal-fired plant. plant. It added that there were 2 railroad flat cars next to the plant, which could have been carrying chemicals needed for reprocessing. The reactor is thought to be capable of producing approximately 6 kilograms of plutonium each year, enough to develop 2 nuclear bombs. The Geun reactor produced plutonium for North Korea's first 3 nuclear bomb tests in 2006, 9, and 2013. Korea has posted its 50th consecutive current account surplus, but the amount in April slumped to a low not seen in more than 2 years. The Bank of Korea says the surplus amounted to some $3.4 billion, the smallest since January 2014. The figure is also sharply down from the $10 billion surplus posted in March. The central bank attributes the slowdown to plunging exports of goods that dropped nearly 20% in April from a year earlier. Imports of goods tumbled almost 19%. The service account deficit also widened to over $1.5 billion in April, compared with a $1 billion deficit in March. The World Health Organization has released its latest guidelines concerning the Zika virus. The guidance has been updated as there's growing evidence sexual transmission has become a powerful channel of infection.
People should practice safer sex or abstain for at least 8 weeks if they are returning from Zika-affected areas and don't present Zika disease symptoms.
The guidelines were strengthened from the previous recommendation of 4 weeks of abstinence. Women planning on becoming pregnant are advised to wait for at least 6 months if their partner shows symptoms of the virus. Zika has been linked to microcephaly, a condition that can cause babies to be born with abnormally small heads. And that wraps it up. Stay with ARIRANG for more of the day's headlines throughout the day. Thank you for watching.